And welcome back to Filthy Liberal Scum Podcast. We are now presented by Coca-Cola. We're total sellouts.
I've gone corporate. It's
He's corporate. He's corporate. He used to be New York Times. Now he's just a Coke-core.
Yeah, sorry.
You and
I wish we were sponsored by Coca-Cola. Are you kidding me? I wouldn't be here with you guys. I'd be somewhere professional.
You see that? You see? Oh, damn. I know what kind of professional you'd be with.
Murphy wants you to drink something larger than the 16 ounce.
Anyway, I'm your host, Justin, the Filthy Liberal Scum Rosario. This is the Mike Murphy.
Hello.
Coke-core.
Exactly.
And, of course, the fast bastard Glenn Dewar.
Hello!
All right. So, we've got a whole bunch of stuff to get to tonight, and not a whole lot of time to get to it, so we're going to jump right into it. Margaret Thatcher is dead at 87 years old of a stroke. Ding dong, the bitch is dead.
Ouch.
You're mean.
I am an absolute douchebag. She was Britain's Ronald Reagan, and as far as I'm concerned, she was a blight on the country.
I don't know.
Yeah, there are some good things.
She's a mixed bag. I'm sorry. In
Some
all
good
fairness,
things.
I'm not the biggest fan of Margaret Thatcher or Thatcherism.
I can hear my friend D screaming right now. Ah, she was a bloody cunt! That's actually what she wrote this morning.
The economy of Great Britain was in big trouble. It was all of the ideas of liberalism done the wrong way that were killing them. I hate to say this, but there might have actually been a necessary conservative correction. Not that I agreed with the way she did things. Not that I don't like the idea. Like people keep saying, "Oh, the great thing about British government is that you only have Parliament, so once you gain control of the government, you can just do whatever you want." See, I think that's terrible. I think it's better. I think it's better to put the brakes on laws. I think being able to just do whatever one party wants is disastrous, and that Thatcher definitely just was unleashed.
She ran with it.
Yeah.
Not for nothing. I mean, she did push a lot of the same social conservative crap because it worked as a wedge issue.
Oh, sure.
I mean, conservatives no matter where you go. That's their playbook. It doesn't matter what country it is. Right now, we're seeing it happen in Canada, which is really sad. Because Canada is not a naturally angry country, but they're working to make it into one.
Oh, so the conservatives are.
Yeah. They're really working to make it into an angry country so they can do the wedge issues, which normally wouldn't work with them.
Well, Canadian conservatives want Canada to be America very badly.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
culturally they're just not.
Yeah, but they're
like one big blue state the whole day.
Right, but they're working. They're working to create that culture. They're literally working to create an angry white underground that'll spread out like a disease.
Yeah, it's never gonna go.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
It's not gonna go east of Regina. Sorry, Ontario and Quebec are gonna be like, yeah, no.
I have mixed feelings on Thatcher. I think you need a balance really between labor and the needs of the country itself. You want to pay people a decent wage. At the same time, you don't want to be enslaved to a group of people who are threatening to cut off power to you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think that's what a lot of Britons were kind of annoyed with was that at least coal miners would strike from time to time, and they basically shut the country down for a while. I think people after a while kind of resented having the lights go out. So you kind of need a balance. I think Thatcher swung the pendulum swiftly from one direction to the other. You will always have people in Britain, especially the towns in which the coal miners, lived. They will always hate her, and if I were a coal miner, I would probably hate her too. She kind of really crushed the unions,
right?
Particularly the coal unions.
Well, I think if you care about unions, and there's a problem in many places in America too. If you care about unions and you want unions to survive, you can't take advantage. The union has to be interested in keeping the company profitable,
right?
And not profitable in the bad way, but profitable in the way that the company should at least be in the black,
right?
And the unions in Britain weren't doing that. The unions in Britain were just like, oh, we could just do anything we want. Well, somebody was talking about 3-day work weeks. I don't know how extensive that was, but unions were definitely, even liberals in the UK today say that in the 70s, unions were taking advantage and it was crushing the country.
Right.
And if you care about unions,
and I do. I mean, I am a member of a union. Just and I do respect unions, but at the same time, you really do need a balancing act. Like what happened in France, for example, a lot of years, it became so expensive to hire people that people are not going to be as eager to hire people unless they know damn well they're going to be in business for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm torn, obviously, because I do believe that you want to pay your workers as well as possible and provide generous benefits. But at the same time, you have to look at the future needs of the company. You don't want to kill the goose like the way they were going eggs too.
Right. It's basically what they blame the unions in the United States of doing, but the United States didn't really do that.
Because one big problem in the United States is that somebody who's not working is constantly getting paid ridiculous amounts of money.
Well,
and
it depends. It depends on the industry. I mean, like I blame a lot of for example, a lot of people blame the UAW for Detroit's woes, and it really wasn't. It was like the leadership of GM and Chrysler who insisted.
Right, they got lazy, they got sloppy.
No, but they insisted on I'm building these huge gas guzzling tanks at a time when gas prices shot up to $4 a gallon.
It's become de rigueur in America that if you're paying your workers and you're not paying your CEO a ridiculous salary and you're not paying your stockholders out, if you're not taking money away from the business itself to give to all these other people,
then you're a failure.
Right. And that's the problem is the companies now, they have that pressure on them that, you have to take money away from the workers. You can't pay the workers a living wage. You can't pay the workers what their labor is actually worth. And that's a problem. And that's not what was going on in Britain under Thatcher. In Britain under Thatcher, they were subsidizing the coal industry, and it wasn't working out. Now, the one thing that drives me nuts, because I was reading about the coal miner strike today, and the one thing I couldn't understand is that it seemed like nobody put on the table the concept of repurposing the workers. Like, it was obvious that some of these plants, some of these coal mines had to close because they wanted to automate them. And this is what these guys were objecting to. Now, I'm sorry, if your job has become obsolete, you can't keep you around forever. That's just not intelligent. But what Thatcher should have offered them is, let's find something else to invest in that town. Because supposedly these, even though the country recovered from the economic problems of the mid-'70s under Thatcher, those local economies never did. But she buried those towns. For the sake of the country.
And she did so with glee, by the way. It wasn't like, I have to do this. Like, you really want to put the screws in.
I mean, what they should have done was something like the GI Bill, but for, the people they were putting out of business. One of the reasons that the United States had its big renaissance is because of the GI Bill. They took all these people coming back from the war, educated the shit out of them for free, and then said, go forth and make us money. Go forth and be productive business people. And of course, for some, they turned around later and say, well, we don't want to pay for that anymore because why should we? We got free educations. We don't see why you guys should get free educations. And this is why college educations are so rapidly expensive now.
Well, a couple of reasons for that.
You're right. That's one of the reasons. They made it up for profit. It's like, if you're not profiting as a college, you're doing something wrong. So now it's phenomenally expensive to get a decent education, which means our workforce is becoming increasingly less educated. And then they're wondering why people can't get better jobs or why innovation's dying out in the United States. And it's this lovely vicious cycle where the rich get richer and everyone else can go fuck themselves. But getting back to Thatcher and her death. Now, this isn't strictly about her, but one of the things I noticed today is that as soon as we put up an article saying, Thatcher's dead and she was terrible for Britain for the most part, she did a lot of terrible things for a lot of people.
I think the mixed bag, and
there was a lot of pushback. I was like, oh, how could you do that? Oh, she just died. Oh, that's in poor taste. It's like, you know what? People are already singing her fucking praises.
She was a public figure, and they're not having an opinion on that, or saying, oh no, you can't.
Right? You're allowed to say good things about someone who just died, but you're not allowed to say bad things about people who just died, even if they were shit.
I mean,
even if they did terrible things.
You know something? We're gonna be mad when Jimmy Carter dies and they do it.
Oh yeah, of course. The right's going to dump on Carter like you won't believe, and we're going to be, oh, come on.
Yeah, but most of the stuff they're going to say about him is bullshit anyway. On the fact that he wasn't a particularly effective president doesn't mean he was a terrible person. He just wasn't a very effective president.
I promise he was an honest president.
Yeah, and Thatcher, like you just said, gleefully crushed people's lives. This does not make her a good person. It may make her a very effective politician, but it makes her a terrible person. And for that not to be mentioned because, we don't want to say anything ill about the dead. It's like, well, she don't care anymore. She's dead. And
she's been out of office for a while now. So it's not like, all
right. I just want to...
I'm sorry,
So I want to finish off with just a little bit. from Alan Moore's intro to the hardcover version of this. This is the paperback, obviously.
Someone's a comic book geek.
Hell yes. Now, if you don't know this movie by now, you should know The Mask. You've been seeing it all over the place for quite some time now. This was oh look, it's got cat bites on it. Remind me to kill my cats. See this? Do you see this? Cat bites.
I doubt they can see it.
Cat bites. No, they can see it. Cat bites. That's it. I'm gonna have 2 less cats now. Actually, 1. I know which one did it. This was heavily influenced by Thatcher's regime, and this was
well, it's a British novel, obviously.
right. And this was in 1988, and this is from Alan Moore, the guy who actually wrote it. And this is the part. This is the end for his intro to the hardcover version, which this is not. It's 1988 now. Margaret Thatcher is entering her 3rd term of office and talking confidently of an unbroken conservative leadership well into the next century, which is exactly
3 years later, she's kind of off.
Yeah, it didn't happen, but the fact that, I mean, imagine Reagan getting a 3rd term. Aside from the fact he was going senile.
I think he could have
filed that under reasons I hate the British
Reagan
system.
could have won.
Right, but imagine what it would have been like.
I think
it would have been awful.
His last term, he would have been completely out of it by the first day of his 3rd term.
My youngest daughter is 7, and the tabloid presses are circulating the idea of concentration camps for persons with AIDS. The new riot police wear black visors, as do their horses, and their vans have rotating video cameras mounted on top. The government has expressed a desire to eradicate homosexuality, even as an abstract concept, and one can only speculate as to which minority will be getting legislated against next.
But that was an actual legislation. Like someone actually put that out there. We're going to just ban homosexuality.
Yeah. I'm thinking of taking my family and getting out of this country soon, sometime over the next couple of years. It's cold and it's mean-spirited, and I don't like it here anymore. Good night, England. Good night, Home Service, and V for Victory. Hello, the voice of fate, and V for Vendetta. That was Alan Moore, Northampton, March 1988. And this is what happens when conservatives get in control.
Now, you know what's ironic is that he complained about the movie because he felt that Americans were twisting it to make it about George W. Bush.
Well, they were both conservatives.
If they want to complain about George W. Bush, they should go write their own story. But to me, it's the timeless story of conservatism versus freedom.
It's not necessarily confined to a particular nation. It's confined to an ideology.
Right.
You know, because everything that Thatcher did is everything that conservatives and Republicans do. She used the politics of social hatred to get people to fight each other and to get them to
conquer and divide strategy.
Exactly. It's like, vote for us, even though we're going to fuck your lives, because that guy over there is gay.
I did not realize that there was that bitter on social issues. I mean,
Thatcher was really against homosexuality, and that, by the way, he's talking about they made it illegal to talk about it in the schools and things like that.
Well, I think the same thing was going on in the 80s here in the United States. There were the moral majority.
I don't know that they actually made laws against it. It's just we were the country as a whole was so you gay that we no one wanted to talk about it, but there was no law. I
assume Britain had their own equivalent of a moral majority types,
But they passed a really nasty national anti-homosexual law.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, we never got to that point because everyone was so icked out by it in the first place. We didn't have to. Now they see it's like, oh crap! Wait, people are not uncomfortable anymore around homosexuals. Well, we got to legislate against that shit now.
Against gay marriage, of course,
and even very successful. And don't say gay and all that because the more we've talked about this before. The more people are comfortable with homosexuals, the less they'll be afraid of them, and it loses effectiveness as a wedge issue. So therefore, you can't have kids being exposed to it in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
That's why they're against gay marriage. That's why they're against teaching it
for fear that people might actually accept them as human beings.
Exactly.
Right. Wow.
Now, did you see did you see the reaction to this whole thing with Crystal Ball, where she was talking to her daughter? She was explaining homosexuality to her daughter. Her daughter is 5.
No.
Okay, you got to see this. Conservatives are all upset about it. And it was just this video where she's talking about it, and she's like, well, do you think it's fair, if some men love men and some men love women and vice versa, is it fair that only some should be able to get married and some shouldn't? And daughter was like, no, it's not fair.
Well, mind you, to a 5-year-old, fairness is well, if I get something, and I also be treated the same?
Exactly. That was the whole point, though. You have to teach a kid to be afraid of somebody.
Or be selfish.
You have to teach a kid
Not to be selfish.
You have to teach a kid prejudice. You have to teach them. No one is inherently afraid of homosexuals. You have to teach them.
They will learn by your example. How you treat people is how they will treat people.
Conservatives immediately insist that this is a discussion about sex. Which, there was no discussion about sex. There was no discussion about any penises or vaginas or anything like that. It was just, marriage, and some boys love girls, some girls love boys, some girls love girls. But that's all it was a conversation about.
Sexuality is right beneath the surface of that.
Well, you know what? 5-year-olds ask where babies come from all the time. It's not really what you call... The only reason it's a taboo subject is because the United States is fucking crazy about sex. If
sexuality was a subtext of any discussion of marriage, then you wouldn't be able to tell children that people get married, and certainly you wouldn't have, little ring bearers and flower girls, right?
Right.
If oh my God, talking about marriage means sex.
Well, that's a good point.
Clearly not, right? We have children at weddings all the time.
But I mean, we didn't discuss it last week, but this, oh my God, I forgot his name already. But what he was discussing was that there's a double standard when it comes to sex, straight people and homosexual people. When it's a man and a woman, and they love each other and they're married and they're together, their relationship encompasses everything, not just sex. When you're talking about gay men, the only thing it encompasses is the sex.
Right.
Nothing else counts. It's the sex is the main aspect of that relationship.
And the thing is, conservatives have a choice. They can either continue to be idiots and have everybody see that they're idiots, because at this point, people understand that's idiotic. That's an idiotic reaction. Lots of people have married gay friends who their kids know, and the fact is, yeah, you got to tell your children this, because, sorry, if there are people who, if there are kids whose parents are a same-sex couple, your kid doesn't have a right to tell them that they're inferior. Your kid doesn't have a right to beat them up because their parents are different.
That's oppression.
Yeah, exactly.
You are oppressing Christians all over this country.
You know what? You have to learn to live with the fact that there are different people sitting at the lunch counter than you.
No, it's oppression.
But what about my right to hate people?
No, it's oppression. All right, we're going to move on. There were two stories that I covered this past week. One of them I actually covered today. A couple days ago, a school decided that, this one of them's a thing about privatization. The other one is just corporations being scumbags. Now the problem was that this particular school had privatized its food services. Okay, so they hired someone to serve lunch and prepare the food and ring it up, blah blah blah. And the kids have little debit cards that their parents would put money on, and they would pay for the food at the time. So this school, or the company in this school, out of the blue, apparently, because I can't believe this had never happened before, that they didn't know how to deal with this, decided that if you don't have enough money on your card, you don't get your food. Okay? And now we're only talking a couple dollars here. We're not talking like $20 lunches here, okay? I mean, it's fucking school food.
Why can't they just send the parents a bill?
So what they did is the kids who had the food in their hands, they told them to throw it in the trash. And the kids who didn't have the food yet and didn't have any money, they just didn't feed. Okay?
Nice.
They just let them go hungry. Then these were kids like, 8, 9, 10, 11, different ages.
That's what Jesus would do.
Exactly. And this is conservatism. This is conservatism. You don't have the money, we will literally make you throw that food in the garbage before you get it for free. Even though you may pay us back later, or you may not pay us back later, but you will not get it for free, because
they would rather the food go into the garbage
than
for the kids to eat the food.
Yes, and they're not making money off of it either way.
I know,
right? They're losing money no matter what. But instead of it's like, all right, well, you don't have money, screw you, throw it in the garbage.
Nice.
They could easily just charge the parents at a later date.
I don't see why.
Well, they were the company was complaining because parents owed them money and they were behind. It was like $1,800 for that particular school. It's like, ooh, $1,800 for several, a bunch of different parents.
I can understand the vendor being a little ticked off at the school district. Say, hey, look, I need to be paid here. But
to say, just tell kids, sorry, you're not.
They don't have the flexibility to say, all right, look, we will pay you.
There has to be a way to deal with it without ostracizing the children. Or treating the children like that. There's got to be a way to deal with the parents.
I mean, from when I read, one of the kids was short by 5 cents. So this wasn't like a thing. This was like this was someone making a statement. Now, when the pushback came and the company got bitched out by a whole bunch of people, they're like, "Oh no, that was just one untrained cashier."
No, it wasn't always.
Yeah, it was just one untrained cashier. And it was like, okay, so none of the other workers there said, no, it's okay, we don't do that.
We didn't tell those guards at Abu Ghraib to act like that.
Yeah, so it was just like, please, you got to be kidding me.
Again, it's plausible that you might have some idiot who didn't know.
Yeah, but what about all the other workers? I mean, it was 25 kids they did this to in one day. So there was a crowd of kids. Someone had to see they were not being fed. Someone had to see it. There's no way just the cashier did this and nobody noticed it.
Well, the fact is they got what they deserved. They had
their first lesson in Randyism. Hey, you don't have the money? Sorry, no.
They had to take it back, and now their corporate image has been damaged.
No, they don't care.
No, they do care because they walked it back, and if they wouldn't have walked it back, if they didn't feel like, oh my God, we're hemorrhaging public opinion, they're going to take this contract away from us.
Good. I'm glad they.
So that was one. And then there was the second story, which actually happened a couple of weeks ago, but apparently no one noticed it for some reason. Let's see. Really down in Augusta, Georgia, there was a grocery store, and the grocery store had its lease was not going to be renewed by the bank. The bank decided not to renew the lease. They didn't. I don't know why. It doesn't give a specific. It didn't say that they foreclosed or anything like that. They said they're not renewing the lease. So the person could have continued. They just didn't want to. So they were going to close this grocery store down. It was supposed to be done back in February. And he didn't.
Now, again, I'm surprised the vendor, the store owner said, all right, look, I'm going to be shut down. You have got go out of business sale off your inventories. You don't order more food.
Yeah, there's clearly something wrong with this guy.
This guy clearly, decided, oh, I don't care. I want to stay in business.
Well, maybe he thought that he'd be able to, get something. But whatever it was, he didn't close down the store. He didn't throw out the food. He didn't, he had a store full of food when the marshals came and evicted him. Okay. So now the bank took possession of the store and everything inside of it. And the guy just, left.
Walked away.
Yeah. So now people knew this was coming. The local people knew this was happening. And like 200 or 300 people who, were poor and, didn't have any money showed up hoping to, well, they're closing it down. They're getting rid of the food. Let us take some of it. Okay?
It's idiocy. Why not do a going out of business sale?
Yeah, no.
You can start marking stuff down.
Right.
Like 2 days at 50% off.
I guess the bank didn't want to be bothered. I guess the bank didn't want to be bothered
crazy.
with it.
They had to be leaving money on the table. Look how much food.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, you can't see the picture. I'll put the picture on in the article. But
the story seems kind of crazy.
It's like a couple of trucks loads worth of food. Is it possible
that the bank may say one thing and then decide to renege and say, "Oh well, sorry, we're going to shut it down now"? And
no,
everybody in the story is an idiot except for the calling company.
Yeah, this wasn't a last minute thing. Like they knew. I mean, people knew this was happening, so they showed up for it. And the bank said no, and took all the.
I can sort of understand they didn't want a panic situation, or that's panic, but like a riot situation where like people like refugees coming out of the woodwork and fighting each other for
right. But I mean, the cops are already there trying to stop them from getting the food in the first place. But I mean, it's like
you want some kind of order. You don't want people to do like a free for all.
I'm sure the cops would have been very happy to keep it organized and orderly for them.
Yeah, I mean, if the cops were there already,
But and they didn't donate the food. They just said throw the food out.
Yeah, and they could have very easily contacted.
They easily could have called food banks. They listen. We have all this inventory.
So just toss the food.
Get me a truck. Whatever you can haul away, you can have.
Yeah, don't let them take it. Just toss it. We don't care. We don't want to be bothered. Just throw it in the garbage.
It's good public relations.
Yeah, it's good public relations.
You get in the paper for look how much food we donated to the food bank.
And I had a libertarian on my page. Who was like, well, food was sitting out in the sun, and people would have sued if they gotten sick. I was like, you know what? Just have them sign a clause saying, take the food. Don't even bother with us. It's, whatever. And not for nothing.
I'm sure the libertarian really cared about those people.
Yeah, I'm sure. And, it's like diapers and jarred food.
He was concerned about the store owner and the bank. Well, the bank can be sued if they give away food and people get sick. And,
not if they say we're throwing it away. It's in the garbage.
Yeah, but
we don't want you to take it.
Chances are some idiot will say, "Oh, I got food from these people. I got sick," and they,
Yeah, but how hard would it have been? It's like 200-300 people. Just have them sign a clause like, "All right, here, you can take what you want. We're not liable.
No, it would be smart had they planned ahead to look. This store is closing down. You have the truck come, take the goods away, delivers to a food pantry, and be done with it.
Yeah, but this is the
and they dump it on the sidewalk like what the hell is that?
Idiots.
Yeah, they did. They dumped it on the sidewalk and then they just
dump it on the sidewalk.
And then they threw it in the dumpster and they carted it away. Now, the company that carted it away,
it was like a freaking paradise.
Yeah, decided that they were going to take whatever was salvageable, anything non-perishable, and they gave it to a food bank.
Good for them.
But the bank just didn't care, and that's like the perfect distillation of what financial institutes are like. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
it's like if I do not profit, then I would rather throw it in the garbage than you get it for free. And this is how they are with their properties. It's like, we're going to kick you out of your house. You're going to live on the street. We don't care about that. And your house is going to sit there vacant and fall apart.
Well, they sell the property eventually,
Eventually, but in the meantime, banks have been doing this. They've been complaining about this. The neighborhoods where these houses have been foreclosed, the banks leave the houses sit and they rot without upkeep. They just go to shit because the bank's not paying the money to upkeep it because they don't want to be bothered.
Right.
No one's living there.
Which makes the property value of that property and all the ones around it.
Right. So people complain. It's like, I'm sorry, this is your property. You have to upkeep it. And the bank's like, no, not really. So they obviously don't care enough about the house to upkeep it, but they care enough about it to make sure you don't live there for free. Which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's like, I'd rather have you living on the street than in my house taking care of it for me. What is that? That's pure faceless corporate. I don't give a shit about other people.
I'm surprised they wouldn't try to turn around and sell it as quickly as possible.
Well, that's the thing. The housing market's so horrible. Who are they going to sell it to?
Okay, I guess they figure, well, this house is sold for much more than it's worth now. I guess the bank would think, well, I want to hold on to it until the price goes up, so at least we can break even.
If you're going to hold on to it anyway until the price goes up, then come to some arrangement with the people living in it and let them caretake.
That would make
sense. Charge them rent.
Right.
It's like, fine.
I think some banks have.
Yeah, it's like we'll foreclose it. You're going to pay us rent. It's our house now. You're not the owner anymore. You're not the you can pay rent and still live here, which is better than us kick you on the street.
A lot of those people might be able to afford rent because it would be less than the mortgage payments.
And it's just they would rather, and that's perfect conservatism. I would rather have you not get it than get it for free. As long as you get it for free, then no, I'd rather burn it to the ground first. And that's really that's what the GOP is doing. They'd rather burn the country to the ground than have rich people get taxed to pay for the stuff they took away from everybody else. They'd rather let the country collapse than to give up an inch, because why should they? They're rich. What do they care? They'll just go to Guam.
Your buddy there in the White House has had some serious messaging failures. I don't like it. I'm angry.
What? Change CPI?
I'm going Fire Dog Lake on you.
Uh-oh. Well, that's going to have to wait.
Bad Obama!
That's going to have to wait. We're moving on to the next topic, which is Gun Nut Excuse of the Week.
Okay.
Wayne LaPierre came out with another gem this time.
I'm sorry, what? What are we talking about?
Gun Nut Excuse of the
no,
Week.
I'm sorry. America has forgotten about that.
No, they haven't forgotten about it yet.
Apparently, the mainstream media is claiming that it's over.
If they'd really forgotten about it, Wayne LaPierre would not still be out there arguing.
Okay. Totally forgot about it.
You would not be out there arguing about it if they'd forgotten about it. Apparently, they have not forgotten about it.
It's up to
Connecticut certainly didn't forget about it.
Look, squirrel!
No, Connecticut just passed those insanely not insanely restrictive, but insanely proper laws.
Congress has decided that they're not doing anything even 90% of Americans want.
No. But again, that's why Wayne LaPierre still out there squealing about.
It's not over yet.
In 2014, no one will lose a single vote over this. And everybody in Congress knows.
The media is already saying, "Oh, it's over. It's over. No one cares. No one cares." It's not over yet.
America has gone back to sleep.
What they're hoping for between now and the 2014 election is that no one else gets shot.
You have to find younger and whiter children to kill now.
Yeah,
we'll all numb to it the next time.
So we have to open fire in a maternity ward, I guess you're saying.
Yeah, that'll be next.
Well, 4-year-olds.
Kindergartners.
But Wayne LaPierre went on Fox News, and Megyn Kelly, of all people,
that was pretty funny.
Yeah, she kind of nailed him to the wall about gun clips and magazines. And what he came out and said was like, well, everybody knows that anyone who knows guns knows you can change magazines in a second. So restricting their size doesn't do anything at all. which is, I mean,
only the people who are trained professionals can actually change the clip.
Yeah, exactly. And of all the stuff that they've made up that might have a little kernel of truth, this one was so like, you got to be kidding me.
If that's true, why do they make 30-round magazines?
Yeah.
It's for the convenience of the shooter. You know,
So
if he wants to kill 30 people, he doesn't have to like change. He doesn't inconvenience himself by changing
clips. But if they were that easy to change, then it wouldn't be more convenient.
It wouldn't really make a difference.
Right? It wouldn't be more convenient.
I mean, actually, no. Not changing the clip takes no time.
Magazine.
I'm sorry, magazine. Not changing a magazine takes no time. Changing a magazine takes, according to him, a second or two. Which is,
and I mean, Rachel Maddow did have a cool thing about it. And they showed people doing time,
literally pushing the release. The magazine falls out, and they're already there with the other magazine.
Yeah, which is awesome to watch.
People who are good at that. That's not everybody.
It's awesome. It's awesome to watch.
But bastard to try to practice that, like, in his sleep.
Well, yeah, it's like quick draw. It's like
Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver. Look at me.
Unless you want Jodie Foster to fall in love with you, are you ready to do that?
So now the problem with this is that the last three mass shootings. Well, all right, last 3 or 4 mass shootings. I don't know what happened to the Sikh temple. I don't think they really have.
In Wisconsin, there was a shooting, of course.
Yeah, I don't think they have any. I don't think there was anything about having to change clips, and that's not how they stopped him. He got shot by a cop outside.
The cop shot him. Yeah.
So who knows if that would have been the same thing if he'd had to take the time to change a clip. I don't think he never got a chance to do it.
One cop shot like 5-6 times in the face and lived. I mean, that's impossible.
That's a tough ass cop.
Jesus.
But
all right.
In the Newtown shooting, at least 11 kids got away when he had to stop and change clips. Okay, so that's that. Right. In the Aurora, Colorado shooting, his barrel. His ammo drum jammed.
Yeah, really, yeah.
So while he was futzing around with that, which might as well be the same thing as him having to change clips at that point.
Course,
magazines, excuse me. That's when he got stopped. And then you have the guy in Tucson.
Jared Lautner.
I don't say their names.
Okay.
I don't give them the satisfaction of saying their names. I
don't even write their names. Making them famous. We have pictures of them on the walls.
Yeah,
I don't.
Shrine.
I don't even write their names in my articles. The guy in Tucson. He got stopped when he had to change clips.
Because people were badass.
Civilians
are badass. They tackle that guy.
He got tackled when he was changing. So to say that it doesn't make a difference, that the size of the magazine doesn't make a difference, and to saying that it doesn't matter because you can change it in an instant is just a bold-faced lie with empirical reality, recent, not like in the past. Sometime like. Within the last couple of months and last couple of years, there is actual solid empirical evidence that, no, it makes a huge difference what the size of the magazine is.
Especially if you're under stress. Mind you, these freaks who are changing their magazines, magazines in 2 seconds, they're just, A, practiced, B, not under stress.
They're doing it for fun to see how fast they can do it.
They're doing it for fun. But, it's one thing to do it in your basement where you're fucking around. If you're under stress, if someone's shooting at you, or you're in the middle of a gun toting rampage,
you're blowing people away. You're a little more stressed.
Yeah, you're not gonna be like, you're gonna be like, okay, kill these people,
And that's when they get stopped.
And that's when they get stopped.
I get, one of the big things the big problem in the whole debate is that liberals are completely turned off by the idea of guns. A lot of liberals are just disgusted by guns. Can't relate to the idea at all of people wanting to do anything with them. And I understand the other side because as soon as I heard that there was such a thing as a 30-round magazine, I wanted to play with one. I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to play with one.
It seems awfully heavy, though. You have to be,
it sounds fun as hell. But,
a 30-round clip, man. It's like,
you got to weigh the options. Heavy, Is it more important that you get to have fun? Because let's face it, people, it's for fun.
Exactly, and that's the same thing I say to them every time. It's like all you're talking about is you want to play with your toys, and it's more important that you play with your toys than to keep people from getting killed.
You don't want to be inconvenienced in any way.
Yeah, and every time we get into that conversation, they shift away because they don't want to talk about that. It's like you have to give me. One guy actually tried to give me. I was like, well, when I was a cop, I got into a firefight and I needed 45 rounds. I'm like, okay,
45 rounds, man. That's a lot of bullets.
One, you're a cop. You're going to get into those situations on a semi-regular basis, depending on your beat. And 2, what does that have to do with home invasion? Would you really want someone unleashing 45 bullets in your house? If you're a 1-floor house, you really want 45 bullets banging around your
You're
home.
almost just as likely to accidentally kill your wife because you thought she was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
You know, if you have to unload that many bullets in your home, then you're doing something seriously wrong.
I don't have a real problem. Okay, if you want to have an extended magazine for cops, all right.
Right, nobody said cops couldn't have them.
Well, all right, fine.
New York State accidentally said cops couldn't have them.
The problem,
and then had to backtrack because they're idiots and they don't actually know anything about guns.
The problem, though, like
for they passed laws.
Even cops, though, you have to be careful. You know, just because you have the capacity doesn't mean you have to use it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there are problems with that. I mean, they do have a tendency to, like, 10 guys unload like 6 clips at one person.
But you know the thing. Well, when the system works correctly,
that's another issue.
When the system works correctly, an NYPD officer is supposed to account for every single bullet.
Right.
That is how things are supposed to work correctly. When some idiot fires 45 bullets at somebody because they pulled out a wallet in a dark lobby, sadly they circle the wagons and they defend bad cops. Which to me, again, it's like the unions. If you're in a union and you want to protect unions, you don't want people getting away with shit that they shouldn't get away with because it's going to eventually hurt the union. Same thing with cops. If you're a cop and you want to protect police officers, then you want to root out the bad ones immediately. You want to excoriate them, ostracize them, and get them out.
One could say the same thing about the Catholic Church.
True. Hey. You know, I mean, the difference, of course, is I don't agree with laicization, but certainly you need to put those guys on a dusty shelf, right? If somebody's doing something wrong, right? You need to put them away from people. You certainly shouldn't be assigning them to another parish where they're going to be around children. Right. It's not good for you. So, you know, every time you protect the bad apples, you're hurting yourself.
All right, we're going to move on to Confederate History Month.
Don't make me curse on your program.
Go ahead, it's YouTube. You can curse.
I'm so angry about Confederate History Month, I'm not even going to curse.
Confederate History Month is awesome. Why is it awesome? Because you get to see exactly who all the racist douchebags are.
But we're not racist.
Yes, you are.
No, it's about Southern culture. And
you're a racist douchebag.
We just look back on a pastoral time of the South.
Back when black people knew their place. No.
And you're a racist douchebag. You're a fucking racist douchebag who celebrates traitors and scumbags.
Yeah, it is treason.
That's you.
Pretty much.
So, what we have is...
discussion close.
There we go. Moving on.
Celebrating treason. And then, of course, you're going to complain about the Muslim... the Muslim mosque being open down the street.
No, the problem with Confederate history, they totally whitewash
literally
the horrors.
They literally whitewash
of slavery. The Confederacy was not just like...
Wait, they should be thankful they were fed 3 square meals a day.
Thank you. That idiot in Virginia.
It's like, what are they upset about? For feeding and housing them?
Apologized for what? For housing and feeding them?
Slavery brought them to America.
Yeah, right.
And now they have great
lives. They had opportunities to get a job. They were working. It was good for them.
Now
they should be thankful.
Now that's the newer version of it. The previous version of it was states' rights. It wasn't about slavery. It was about states' rights.
Oh, they're still trying to say that.
They are still trying to say that, but it depends on which one you talk to.
They're on a hard revisionist history on.
Yeah, it depends.
Civil War was all about states' rights.
It depends which racist douchebag you're talking to. Either it's states' rights or slavery wasn't that bad, so we don't know why the North attacked us.
It was a war of northern aggression. Damn
even though the South fired the first shots.
Exactly.
That's how it goes. If you throw the first punch, then you were attacked. It's just like Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman.
Yeah,
that was the incident of Trayvon's aggression.
Comments on any Trayvon Martin news story.
Oh man, they're brutally racist.
It's so
brutally racist.
And then they say they're not racist while they're saying racist things.
Yeah,
they're like,
really.
How dare you call me a racist for saying?
There was a picture of him giving a middle finger on a Facebook picture once, so he was obviously a nigger. It's like, what?
Well, he deserved it. You know,
he had it coming. He was a little thug. What?
I always followed black people around in my neighborhood.
Because
I'm not racist.
Sweatshirt, therefore he's a
it's like, what are you basing that on? Well, this one time he got arrested. No, that wasn't him. Well, it doesn't matter. He was black.
No, there's some people who were really just...
the comments
they don't like black people. Amazing. They never will. And a lot of you guys are secretly happy that Zimmerman killed that guy.
Yeah, and the funny thing is Zimmerman's actually Hispanic. He's a Latino.
He's half.
I have a feeling
half Hispanic.
I have a feeling Zimmerman wasn't talking that much about his Hispanic side until after this came about.
Oh yeah, no.
But he doesn't look completely Caucasian.
Yeah, he doesn't look completely Caucasian, but I have a feeling he was talking a lot more about his dad's side of the family until this happened. Now he's all about being Hispanic.
Yeah, Dad the judge.
I don't think Zimmerman was running around telling people he was Hispanic back then.
No, probably not. So now
Confederate History Month.
Confederate History Month. Now, one of my favorite tidbits that Glenn introduced me to actually was the Cornerstone speech. And this I use on people now regularly, and they get very, very upset with me.
It's the smoking gun.
Yeah, it really is. It's it's not smoking. It's a smoking cannon. It's a smoking. It's a mushroom cloud. Is really what it is. It's the mushroom cloud of your states' right argument is bullshit.
And people still try to say that this is not evidence.
Yeah, and that's my favorite part. He's
the vice president of the Confederacy, but he doesn't know what the war was about.
Right, exactly.
Sure.
And my response to that is this was 150 years ago. Back then, vice presidents were expected to be someone intelligent before John McCain picked Sarah Palin. This is long before that. Like, we actually had high expectations of our vice presidents. So this is part of the Cornerstone speech. From Alexander Stevens in Savannah, Georgia on March 21st, 1861. The new Constitution has put at rest forever all the agitating questions relating to our peculiar institutions. The fact that he calls it peculiar should be an indication, but whatever. African slavery as it exists among us, the proper status of the Negro in our form of civilization. This was the immediate cause of the late rupture and present revolution.
Yeah.
Jefferson, in his forecast, had anticipated this as the rock upon which the old Union would split. He was right.
Yeah, he was.
What was the conjecture with him is now a realized fact. But whether he fully comprehended the great truth upon which that rock stood and stands may be doubted. The prevailing idea entertained by him and most of the leading statesmen at the time of the formation of the old Constitution were that the enslavement of the African was in violation of the laws of nature, that it was wrong in principle, socially, morally, and politically. It was an evil they knew not well how to deal with, but the general opinion of the men of that day was that somehow or other, in the order of providence, the institution would be evanescent and pass away. Those ideas, however, were fundamentally wrong. Vice President, now, of the Confederate States of America.
Saying Jefferson was wrong.
They rested upon the assumption of the equality of races. This was an error. It was a sandy foundation, and the idea of a government built upon it. When the storm came and the wind blew, it fell. Our new government is founded upon exactly the opposite ideas. Its foundations are laid, its cornerstones rest upon the great truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man, that slavery, subordination to a superior race, is his natural and moral condition. The Vice President of the Confederate States of America.
Yeah.
Specifically saying that, yes, slavery is what we're fighting about.
It was entirely about slavery. Yeah. By the way, Jefferson Davis, when he was talking about whether or not it was a good idea to bring in Texas, specifically stated that it was important to bring in Texas to perpetuate slavery. He was very interested in perpetuating slavery. This is what Jefferson Davis was about. He was president of the Confederacy.
There you go.
If you look at the arguments the individual states made
for
why they seceded, and you look at the arguments they made in their legislatures and then the documents they produced, they all talk about slavery and the importance of the inequality of the races.
And it wasn't like, very deep in the preamble. It was like, we are opposed to Abraham Lincoln. We were opposed to the concept of
what you hear is, but Abraham Lincoln didn't like black people. He thought that they were inferior. But
his main point was to keep the Union whole. I think.
Well, okay, no, you have to, because they always talk about this. If you quote Lincoln between 1860 and 1865, Lincoln talks all about preserving the Union more important than anything. The reason why they all seceded specifically because he got elected was because his history before that was Lincoln was always an abolitionist.
Right.
He was an outspoken abolitionist.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, if you quote him from a selective period where he was trying to get states not to secede, Lincoln was trying to say, look, I'm willing to compromise on this. We don't have to break up the Union on this right now. But what did he want to do? He very specifically wanted to eliminate slavery.
Wait, are you saying...
For a long time, he was not... He was like an obscure person. He was actually a sought after speaker.
Are you saying that conservatives are cherry picking?
Yeah, of course.
Shocking.
Yeah. What?
Now there is one more thing, by the way. Anytime your favorite states' rights argument person tells you how the Confederacy was all about states' rights, ask them this very important question that they can never answer, and they'll try to talk around. Read the Confederate Constitution and tell me where it shows that any state has the right to decide on slavery for themselves. In fact, the Confederate Constitution specifically forbids the states in the Confederacy from making any decisions about slavery. Slavery is the law of the land, and
Right.
they may not outlaw slavery within their
They
state.
had no such thing as nullification of slavery. Even let's say years down the road, let's say North Carolina decides, well, we don't want slavery no more.
Nope.
Too bad.
No states' rights for you.
No states' rights for you.
Nope.
Slavery is the law of the land.
That's
I mean,
the way
You
it is.
will abide by the Constitution.
The CSA Constitution was almost word for word the same as the original. There was some differences.
They sprang from our loins.
But there were plenty of opportunities for them to change, like nullification.
Right.
They could have put in there a clause
Right.
that said states had the right to nullify federal laws they didn't like within their borders.
Correct.
Right? Supposedly, if you were all for states' rights, you wanted nullification. Why didn't the South put that in the Constitution? Because the last nullification crisis before the Civil War was when the South was pissed off because the Fugitive Slave Act said northern states had to return fugitive slaves, and the northern states started saying, no, that law is null within our borders. So the last nullification crisis before the Civil War, the South was arguing against states' rights. They said the federal government trumps states' rights.
Right.
And the northern states were saying, no, we have the right within our state that you can't reclaim slaves here.
Are you saying conservatives don't have any idea about history and they're just talking out their asses?
Yes.
There's no need for me to state something so obvious.
I mean, I'll say yes. You're absolutely correct.
This is like a stunning night for me. I never would have suspected any of this.
I know, shocking.
I know.
No, but again, you can argue this to one of these redneck jerk-offs, and they will just like it'll be going one ear.
Well, that's what I love about the Cornerstone speech.
Well,
they don't know how to answer this.
There is no answer.
You
for
can
it.
also argue this to your friends who are, you know, that guy. We all know those people who we come in contact with. They're our friends. We love them. But they they kind of believe that all black people are on welfare. They don't say it quite that out loud. And they're always the ones to say, oh, states' rights, the Confederacy was all about states. And they aren't necessarily all the hardcore, there aren't necessarily people who vote Republican in every election.
Right.
They aren't liberals, but there are people who vote Republican and they're moderates.
I'm just curious, when you mentioned this Cornerstone speech to these people, so
I get one of two responses. One, he didn't know what he was talking about.
No, you don't know what you're talking about.
No, that he didn't know what he was talking
But
about.
somehow the vice president
did not know what he was talking
and
about.
we heard that argument recently when we had a debate with somebody about it.
Yeah, it's like he didn't know what he was talking about. And to which my response is, well, then you better go find me something from the president of the Confederate States of America
That had nothing to do with
that specifically counters what he said. You need to find me something that says, no, that's not right.
And by the way, it has to be something written before 1865 because they did start trying to whitewash their reasons very soon thereafter. They started to rewrite history that it was a war about states' rights after they lost it.
And then, of course, then the other answer is, well, Lincoln was racist. And then they don't want to talk about that anymore. Then they try to say, well, because I really still have people who try and convince me that Republicans are the ones that freed the slaves and Democrats were the actual.
Well, Southern Democrats,
Republicans were the ones.
Southern Democrats
right,
were the
liberal Republicans,
right? But they're trying to apply that to today's parties.
Of course, because they think people are stupid. Like, yeah, the Republican Party of 1865 is the same as one today, and same thing for the Democrats. It's
start quoting Lincoln on economic policy. He was not one of them. Lincoln did not have a lot of nice things to say about keeping the rich rich and letting them get richer.
No, but he was a known abolitionist long before he was president.
Well, there you go. What can you do?
So yes, conservatives are lying to you when they say, it was all about states' rights.
All right, I just want to finish up with one little thing. Earlier this week, I had a guy on my page. The hell is his name again? Jeremy something or another. I get lots of trolls. Okay, Jeremy Werner.
This one was special.
Yeah, this was a special troll because he thought that by posting a screed listing a bunch of my personal information would somehow terrorize me into shutting up. Basically, he was trying to bully me online by revealing a bunch of personal information of mine. Now, the problem is that I release my personal information all the time. Okay, I live in Middle Village, New York. I have 2 kids, Jordan and Anastasia. My wife is Debbie. She works for the DEA. This is not like secret information. Okay, and this guy started spewing this whole rant about me and my life, and using a lot of personal information in the hopes that it would rattle me somehow and get me to like ban him from the page so he can prove he had a victory over me. And this did not work out well for him. Okay, because I don't deal well with bullies. I tend to bully bullies, and they don't like it. So I posted a nice long response to everything he'd said, and everything he said was outdated.
No, but why would necessarily knowing your information and try to attack you? Oh, go to hell, you 2-kid having jackass. I mean,
he thought that he was exposing Justin because Justin makes his money writing articles.
Because you're boring.
No.
I'm sorry. No.
I am. I'm a very boring person.
You're like, oh, how dare you normal bastard.
Because his whole thing is, and he's not sexist when he says this. Only men are supposed to earn money and take care of, and women are supposed to take care of children, and men, men aren't supposed to stay home and take care of the children.
But he is earning money. I mean, he's not just doing this because he likes it. I mean,
I do that too.
You're compensated. This is a job for you.
That's a fun job.
Granted, I mean, your wife is
I get to spend time with Glenn.
Obviously, your wife is the more of the breadwinner, but I mean, come on, it's not like you're not working at all.
Yeah, no, his rant was misogynist, but really, you'll have to read it. You haven't read it yet, obviously, but when you read it, you'll see what he was trying to do. He was trying to rattle me.
Trying to say, you're a half a man. How dare you? You're not
everybody
real
this.
man.
Well, no, Justin will be discredited.
And he thought that by peppering it with information that the average person wouldn't know at the top of their head would somehow discredit me and scare me or frighten me or upset me somehow. And it only upset me because a lot of it was out of date. Like, he didn't know I graduated college, and he thought Debbie still works for the military. Okay, and
with all due respect, like, why are you putting that information out there? I mean,
well, you don't read my stuff because you're a jerk. But when I write yeah, of course. But I relate a lot of what I write to my personal life, and so I don't really hide my personal details because I don't care. It's it's not important that people don't know who I am or what I do. It's important that they know who I am. And
you're not really a celebrity.
Well, even if I was, I still wouldn't care. It's like, we know where you used to live. So what? I don't care.
Yes, we know that you used to go to college at Queens College.
Yeah, exactly. And but it was listing stuff like that and stuff about Debbie and stuff about the kids and blah blah blah. But a lot of it was out of date. A lot of it was several years out of date.
They were trying to get inside your head somehow.
But what was annoying because some of the stuff he listed. Some of the stuff he listed wasn't stuff that I'd actually put in the articles at any time recently.
All right,
so he was getting it from somebody. Glenn figured out who it was, although Glenn isn't. He was like, "Oh, it might not have been him." Turns out,
I think it's possible Jeremy knew Debbie at some point. Did you ask Debbie?
She doesn't know him.
I don't know. It seems to me because the way he wrote it.
Well, it would have to be someone that knew us within the last 3 years, or we wouldn't know who Anastasia was.
No, but he might have read that in your stuff.
Unless he read a lot of my stuff,
because a lot of what he seemed to know seemed to be out of date.
It's extremely out of date.
And then like the other stuff he might have just gotten from your Facebook page.
Right.
That stuff isn't on my Facebook page.
Is it possible that someone that knew you back in the day?
It's not. I don't know him.
Well, Justin didn't know anybody in college, but Debbie did.
Yeah, but even she doesn't recognize him. She doesn't know who he is. She looked at his picture.
I don't recognize him either, but I think I might have known him.
Well, whoever it is. Whoever he knew, we do know he knew Mike Marsh because he's got pictures of him hanging out with Mike Marsh. And Mike Marsh is a notorious right-wing douchebag who really doesn't like me because I am a liberal and I'm smarter than he is.
So
I said it.
You're calling him out.
Dick.
You're calling him out.
Well, he's too much of a fucking...
It's not nice to point out that you're smarter than he is.
He's too much of a fucking pussy to say it to my face, so he had this guy do it for him.
Wow.
It's speculation.
you know what? It's a pretty good speculation.
Yeah.
I don't know too many conservatives that would know that kind of information about me that would bother going out of their way to tell him.
Marsh doesn't need to troll you. He's a teacher. He has lots and lots of children to propagate every like,
including his own. I can't wait until his kids grow up and hate him. It's gonna be awesome. I hope I get to find him. I should look him up in 15 years.
On that happy note,
I'm just saying, for anybody out there who feels like they're gonna bully me somehow with personal information or any way that you want to try and bully me, good fucking luck.
Wow, the podcast got real personal.
Good luck. Best of luck to you.
Okay, I don't know.
Wow.
Suddenly I ended up on the Howard Stern show, but
I could give a rat's
insulted
ass.
me.
I don't give a fuck what you know about me, who you know that I know.
Hey, brother.
You can show up on my doorstep. I don't care. I am not afraid of any of you conservatives and libertarians and right-wing trolls. None of you mean anything to me. I've gotten death threats. I laugh at you. I spit on you. Go ahead and keep trying. Please.
This is me posing behind you like your brother is.
Amuse me with your hatred.
this is more attention than Jeremy Werner deserved.
Yeah, seriously.
I know, but it was still fun humiliating on public. He got so pissed off, he threatened to sue me for slander.
I think you just gave him a little bit of a victory. I got him. I got to him.
No, because not that he'll watch this, but still.
In all fairness, Jeremy Werner proved that he was a lot more obsessed with you.
Yeah,
this is like a 2-page screed.
I'm telling you, he had notes.
It just made it obvious.
He had notes.
Wow.
This is not stuff he knew off the top of his head. He had notes.
It just made it obvious.
That's crazy.
He lost a debate against you. He knew he was wrong. You proved him wrong, and he got angry about it. So he decided to change the topic to something personal.
And then went out of his way to research you. Like, yeah,
by the way, people.
No, this is stuff he already had on hand because this was less than 12 hours later.
When you go into the personal attacks, all you're telling us is that you know that you don't have a good argument, an actual.
I should do like the Shatter. Get a life. You know, what's wrong with you people?
Normally I wouldn't have bothered that much with a troll, but it was just the fact he was trying to bully me. It was just like, nah.
You have a dossier on this one. What? I mean, I've known him for years. I don't know this information. I don't. Come on, I don't sit around.
I do lead a very boring life. I'm an extremely boring person.
But he's normal.
Someday, if I ever become famous, people are gonna go digging for dirt on me. Good luck.
Come up with this.
Yeah, this is good luck. You're gonna
interview. Associate with these two clowns.
You're gonna interview my friends and relatives. They're gonna be like, no.
Yeah, right.
He used to sleep a lot at college.
He slept a lot.
I slept a lot at college. That's it. That's all. I mean,
that's what classes are for. You know.
Yeah, no, that in between classes, during classes, didn't matter. I have a very boring
the rest of us went into these different student organizations to be involved in stuff. He went to sleep. In the middle of the rest of us.
They had the best couches.
They did. I remember
they had the best couches.
There were times where I would go to CHR and you would be sacked out on the couch. Like,
people used to lay down on top of me because I was a comfortable couch.
And that's how
Except
you
for
know.
Clay.
You were more comfortable than the couch was, I think. Your pleasure.
That's how you know I'm better than the guys from Steubenville, because he was passed out in front of me all the time, and I never raped him.
You were probably lying to other people's jizz stains, too, up and out there. That's those couches.
Delightful fragrance. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this week.
He's lucky he didn't get pregnant.
Yeah, on that delightful note, he's your host, Justin Rosario, the Filthy Little Scum, the Mac Marsh, and the Fat Smoke Bastard.
Margaret Thatcher.
We'll miss you.
Good night.
In hell.
Bye. Bye-bye.